We tend to think of success as the finish line, right? The end of the struggle. But what if it's actually just the starting gun for a whole new set of battles? Today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating perspective from a sermon that argues exactly that. Achieving your goals isn't an escape from conflict, it's an invitation to it.
This one question, man, it just cuts right to the chase, and it totally flips our usual thinking on its head. The whole idea here is that every single open door, every new opportunity, every piece of success, it has hidden strings attached and can bring a whole lot of contention right along with it.
So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll explore this strange paradox of success, what the source calls the curse of open doors. Then we're going to identify the three adversaries that supposedly show up. We'll zero in on the most dangerous one, the enemy that's already inside. And finally, we'll look at the path to victory, which involves humility in a very specific three-part strategy.
Okay, let's get into this first big idea. The core argument is that when you reach a new level in life, maybe it's a new job, a breakthrough in your business, your struggles aren't over, not at all. It's more like you've just unlocked a new level in a video game. And guess what? It comes with brand new challenges and maybe even a new boss fight that are totally unique to that level.
And the way the speaker illustrates this point, well, it's pretty powerful. The source points to the birth of Jesus. I mean, you can't get much more positive than that, right? But it directly led to King Herod's paranoid violent rampage. Or look at Mary. The moment she received this incredible divine favor, she was hit with social scandal and controversy. The point is clear. Sometimes the best things can stir up the biggest trouble.
So, if getting what you want brings new battles, who or what are you actually fighting? Well, the source is really specific here. It's not just some vague challenges. Nope. It identifies three very distinct adversaries that you're going to face when those new doors open up for you.
That's right, three. A trio of opponents that this framework says are going to test you at every new stage of your success.
And here they are. So according to the speaker, you've got your external forces and you've got difficult people. But look at that third one, the flesh. The source claims this one is, by a long shot, the most vicious of the three. Why? Well, you can fight or run from the other two, but you can't exactly run away from yourself, can you? And this brings us to the absolute linchpin of this entire argument, this idea of the flesh. We're not talking about your physical body. It's something deeper. It's an internal enemy that success doesn't fix. In fact, success actually feeds it. You could almost think of it as your unmanaged ego, or your shadow self.
So what exactly is the flesh? Well, the speaker defines it as our built-in vulnerabilities and our negative tendencies. If we were to put that in more modern terms, you might think of it as our character flaws, our blind spots, or those self-sabotaging habits we all have. It's the part of us that's prone to things like pride, or greed, or fear, especially when we're put under pressure.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, and frankly, a little scary. The speaker says these vulnerabilities aren't always a problem. They can lie dormant for years, maybe making you think you've already conquered them. But then, a new door opens. You get some money, you get some influence, you get some power, and that very success acts like a trigger, activating these old tendencies.
This slide just lays it out so clearly with two really powerful examples from the source. Okay, so when the Israelites were hungry and wandering in the desert, they were orderly, they were disciplined. But the second they were full and satisfied, they became wasteful and rebellious. And look at David. As a humble shepherd boy, he was this model of integrity. But as a powerful king with nothing but time and authority, a whole other side of him, an adulterous and even murderous side, got activated. The circumstances changed, and that inner enemy came roaring out.
This is a cry from the Apostle Paul, and the speaker uses it to show that this internal battle isn't just for a few people. I mean, this is one of the most influential figures in Christianity, and even he felt totally trapped by this war inside himself. He was expressing this deep frustration with an enemy he couldn't just get rid of.
So, if the biggest enemy is inside you, and he gets woken up by the very success you're chasing, what in the world are you supposed to do? Well, according to this source, the solution isn't to just fight harder in your own strength. The path to getting help starts with a really specific and maybe a little countercultural mindset.
And here's the key. The first step isn't an action, it's an admission. It's what the source calls brokenness or humility, that genuine recognition that you, on your own, are not enough to handle the new temptations that come with your new level of success. It's a complete rejection of self-sufficiency.
This quote just nails the paradox, doesn't it?
In this way of thinking, as your power and success grow, your pride should actually shrink. Your sense of dependency on a higher power isn't supposed to decrease, it's supposed to dramatically increase, because the stakes are so much higher and those internal enemies are that much stronger.
Okay, so once that foundation of humility is there, the source lays out a really clear three-part action plan. This isn't just about thinking the right thoughts. It's about doing specific things to actively seek and receive deliverance from both the internal and the external battles.
So here they are, the three responses. First, a cry for mercy, which isn't seen as a sign of weakness, but as the actual key to get help. Second, there's strategic prayer, not just asking for stuff, but using prayer to get insight and to turn bad situations around. And third, praise, which is framed as this powerful spiritual weapon that actively invites a higher power to step in.
This table does a great job of tying it all together. You've got the cry for mercy, like in the story of blind Bartimaeus, which is all about getting help you don't feel like you've earned. Then there's strategic prayer, like Queen Esther preparing for a high-stakes meeting with the king. And finally, praise, like Paul and Silas in that prison, is presented as an act so powerful it can literally shake the foundations of whatever is holding you captive.
So let's just bring this all home. The source makes a really powerful case that success isn't an escape from problems, it's just an entry pass to a new set of them. The biggest of these problems is an internal enemy that success itself wakes up. The only way to get ready for that is through humility, admitting you can't do it alone. And the game plan for winning is a three-part response: crying out for mercy, strategic prayer, and praise.
And that leaves us with this one big, kind of challenging question. This whole framework is built on a paradox, that to get stronger, you have to become more dependent. In our culture, a culture that celebrates the self-made person and thinks confidence is everything, what does it really mean to embrace the idea that the only way to win the war in your mind is to first admit you can't win it on your own? Definitely something to think about.